Hi, welcome to Bar Cart Bookshelf, a video series about books and the drinks they inspire. My name is Elias, and today we're talking about The Tapestry of Fate by Shannon Chakraborty. The Tapestry of Fate is the second book in the Adventures of Amina al-Sarafi trilogy, which began in 2023 with The Adventures of Amina al-Sarafi, which we covered here on Bar Cart Bookshelf. Check out our episode on Book 1. It is the continuing adventures of the reformed pirate captain, Amina al-Sarafi, as she is tasked with hunting down magical objects by Peris, these sort of divine spirits of the air, as a punishment for having intruded upon their otherworldly kingdom in Book 1. And we find her drawn on another adventure in this sort of rip-roaring tradition of historical adventure fantasy, very much in the tradition of Odysseus, of Sinbad the Sailor, of the sorts of tales that we hear in Arabian Nights, these sorts of wonder stories. And one in particular is particularly influential on the Tapestry of Fate, the tale of Jalnar of the Sea, and this sort of history of Mer people in isolated magical islands in the middle of the sea. We find Amina tasked with hunting down a spindle that has the ability to alter fate and to change reality, this sort of reality warping tool that is held by a witch queen in an island that is sort of lost, magically lost in the middle of the Persian Gulf. And we get drawn into this wonderful sort of adventure as we go along with that, and the complications of who's telling stories and who gets to tell their story, and what does it mean to be in control of one's own narrative and of one's own destiny. We've got some really cool sort of big action set pieces. There's a pirate city made of a bunch of boats lashed together, Sagralaglag, which is really, really desperately very cool. There are giant griffins the size of elephants. There are really strange and uncanny magics and ancient poisons, and you get this wonderful balance of sort of deft historical attention to detail and inventiveness. In many ways, this is Chakraborty's most inventive novel yet, in that she's introducing a lot more of spaces beyond the human world and the historical narrative. We spend some time in ancient Baghdad, but of course we're in a sort of wholly invented space with the kingdom of Khatti Ugal, this island in the middle of the Persian Gulf, or in this pirate city of Sagralaglag. And it's just, again, grappling with these ideas of motherhood and obligation, with the sort of control of the self, and also this willingness to seek adventure, and this almost inability to deny adventure, one because of the sort of magical strictures being placed upon Amina, but also because of her sort of essential nature and character. She is, even if she necessarily wanted to, she would find herself drawn on and on into adventure, because that's just the sort of person that she is. And we see some of the consequences that emerge from that. Especially at the beginning of the novel, we have these powerful tensions between her and her family, and what she keeps from them and what they know, and the needs of her life balanced with the needs of their own lives. Really just wonderful, grand adventure fantasy that never shies away from the ideas that it's grappling with and wrestling with. And so, of course, we had to have a drink. As with the Adventures of Amina al-Sarafi, our drink today is a mocktail. To pair with our Marawati from Book 1, we have the Khatti Ugal, which is inspired and takes its name from this magical island that we are going to seek this magical spindle. And we're going to begin with 3 ounces of iced chai. So we're going to get those baking spices in there. That, like, rich tea thing. Again and again, Amina grapples with her sobriety, her commitment to religiosity, her faith, and so we're doing all mocktails for the entire series as a way to recognize the core of faith and the core of sobriety that sort of sits with Amina. And as we're drawing from all corners of this Indian Ocean interconnected world, we're going to bring some of those baking spice notes into our Khatti Ugal with this chai. We see a lot of shipwrecks that have washed ashore on this magical island. And to that, we're going to add 3/4 of an ounce of lime cordial. It's going to add the sort of tartness and brightness of the lime, but also some of that richness of the citrus oils, some sweetness as well, and it is preservative friendly. So we're here on our boats, we're here on the seas, and we want something that's going to be citrusy and bright, but also that's maybe a little more concentrated and a little more shelf stable. So this is a lime cordial made from lime juice, lime zest, and sugar. I have the recipe to make it in my book, Cocktails and Consoles, so you can check that out as well. One of my favorite ingredients to play with. Just really, really delicious. And to that, we're going to add a bar spoon of apricot preserves. Nice, solid bar spoon there. We want a good honk of those preserves in there. And you're going to want to give that a stir just to help dissolve some of those apricot preserves. And so you'll notice we don't have any fresh citrus, but we still have our shaker tins here. We are going to be shaking this, even though we usually just shake things with like fresh citrus or dairy. But because we've got the sort of brightness of the cordial and we have the sort of thicker, more viscous quality of the preserves, we are going to want to incorporate a little more agitation into this mocktail, just to make sure that it's a nice, smooth, and supple drink. So we'll give that a stir just at room temperature to help dissolve the apricot preserves, and then finally we'll add 1/4 of an ounce of balsamic vinegar. So we have this sort of vinegar that we see, vinegar water, on the high seas and on the boats. That's, again, one of these sort of preserving elements. But vinegar is just, it's this wonderful balance of sweetness and tartness, as with the cordial. We're getting these balances of sweetness and tartness and complicated, dark, heavy flavors in there as well, while still preserving that sort of electric zing of our drink. So we'll give that a stir to dissolve the apricot, and then we'll add some ice. And because it is beastly hot, I'm gonna break my ice up in here a little bit and scoop on down in. We just want a little handful scoop of crushed ice, so we're gonna get a little more crushed ice going on in our glass when we're ready to serve. I'm serving this in a Pearl Diver glass today, a nice little homage to Book 1, where we have this magical object, the Moon of Saba. Lovely. We'll set that crushed ice aside for now and shake up our Khatti Ugal. You want to give it a nice solid shake. Frosty, freezy, frost on the tins, cold, refreshing, just the thing you need. Perfect. Yes. Good. We'll take our handy-dandy Hawthorne strainer and strain into our prepared glass over crushed ice. Wonderful. Lovely, lovely. And we'll top that with a little more crushed ice, like so. And there you have it. This is the Khatti Ugal, inspired by The Tapestry of Fate by Shannon Chakraborty. The Tapestry of Fate is available now. I love this series so much. I can't wait for book 3, but they're a lot of fun to read on their own as well. Certainly one to run to, not walk. And I've got a link to snag it in the description down below, as well as a link to purchase my book, Cocktails and Consoles, 75 Cocktails and Mocktails, to level up your game night. If you're looking for fun adventures, then I think you'll find that there as well. We also have a link to purchase the newest anthology from Neon Hemlock, Shatter the Sun, Queer Tales of Untold Adventure. And if you're liking adventure fantasies, sword and sorcery, very much a genre in the tradition of these sorts of wonder tales in the same way that the Tapestry of Fate is, I've got a link to snag that down below as well. It's got my story, The Peacock Wizard and the Cave of the Serpent Queen, if you're looking for more sort of intimidating and ominous female antagonists. I think you're going to have a lot of fun with that too. We've got links to various forms of social media, including Blue Sky and Instagram, where there is always a written version of today's recipe. Try the drink. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Hit that like button. It makes me so happy when you do, and really helps us to understand what sorts of books we want to talk about here on Barkart Bookshelf. Make sure you're subscribed if you haven't already, because we've got some really great books that we're going to be talking about in July, in August, through the end of the summer and into the fall, including next week, our 5-year anniversary. It's hard to believe that I've been doing Barkart Bookshelf for 5 years, but as it turns out, I have. And I've been so grateful to share all of these wonderful drinks and all of these fantastic books with the viewers like you out there. I can't wait to share our special 5th anniversary surprise for you, so keep your eyes peeled and keep your subscriptions coming on along. Until next time, cheers.